white brassiere with ripped shoulder straps. Part of one strap was later found on the trail about 10 feet from the wet and moldy clothing, crawling with insects. A single right-footed tan sandal, size 6.5B, was also found. Investigators determined the victim was killed elsewhere and transported to the Scotney brothers' deserted farm. After a month of exposure to nature and the elements, her blackened remains were the worst sight these state police investigators had ever seen. Dental records identified the corpse as Mary Therese Fleischer, the missing Eastern Michigan co-ed. Her dentist, Dr. T.J. Smeckert, provided Mary's x-rays, which Dr. Edward Hanick from the University of Michigan Hospital used to make a positive identification. The 19-year-old sophomore was majoring in accounting and working at Eastern Michigan University's Field Services Office as a secretary. Mary was from Willis, Michigan, a rural community south of Ypsilanti in Washtenaw County. State police detectives arrived at the Fleischer home around 6:30 p.m. When they showed the Fleischers the tan sandal found at the scene, Chester and Teresa said in unison, "That's Mary's shoe." Teresa Fleischer told police Mary had purchased those shoes at Baker's in Arborland, just before going to Expo 67 in Canada sometime last spring. The other sandal was never found. On August 8th, pathologist Dr. B. Naylor began the autopsy, completed by the head pathologist Dr. Robert M. Hendricks on August 9th. Chester Fleischer requested permission to be present for his daughter's autopsy, but was refused. The autopsy report indicated the victim suffered approximately 30 stab and puncture wounds in the chest and abdomen, at least 20 of which were inflicted by a knife or similar sharp object. The rest were irregular in shape and attributed to ravaging insects and feral animals. Small teeth imprints could be seen on the flesh and exposed bones. One forearm and hand were missing, and the fingers of the other hand had been removed. Both feet were severed at the ankles, definitely not caused by animals, as there was no evidence of sawing or clean cutting of the ankle bones. The pathologists believed bones were smashed. There was also a long slash across the victim's back. Severe putrefaction had damaged the internal organs, and mummification was pronounced. The pathologists could not determine if Mary Fleischer had been sexually violated. Upon completion of the autopsy, Mary's remains were placed in a black body bag and taken to Moore Funeral Home at 101 South Washington Street in Ypsilanti. Harold Britton, an employee of the funeral home, called the state police the next day, saying a person had come into the funeral home just before closing and requested permission to take a photograph of the body. Britton told the young man that because of the family's wishes, the casket would remain closed. Britton asked the young man if he was a friend of the family. He said he was. Britton told him it would be impossible to view the body, but he could sign the funeral book. The young man said he would at the funeral service and left. It was then that Britton noticed the young man was not carrying a camera. Britton told police investigators the unidentified male left the funeral home in a silver-blue car. Because the driver had parked off to the side rather than in front of the building, Britton could not see the license plate number or identify the make or model as the vehicle disappeared up South Washington Street. Britton described the person as a white male, 18 to 20 years old, 5 feet 10 inches tall, with a medium build and light complexion. He was wearing a long-sleeved white shirt with no tie. Some papers were sticking out of his shirt pocket. His black trousers had no cuffs, and he was wearing loafer-style shoes. When the parents of Mary Fleischer were contacted by Michigan State Police about the young man, they said they had no knowledge of him. State police were able to find out from their subsequent investigation that Mary had lived with Nancy D. Macelis at 413 Washtenaw Avenue, apartment 14, since the 1st of June. This was Mary's first time living away from home. She had sublet an off-campus apartment for the summer, so she could be close to her job in McKinney Hall. Mary discovered she felt more comfortable living at home.